Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Legends of StarCraft. I'm Subsourian. I run the StarCraft wiki, and my co-host Mark, expert podcaster. And today we have Christie Golden, who is
everybody.
Legendary writer, frankly, done a ton of Warcraft, some of my favorite StarCraft, one of my favorite Star Wars novels, Dark Disciple. I absolutely, we still quote that book. So.
Aww.
Hell yeah.
Starting off, Christie, how did you get into writing, and what kind of led you on that path to Blizzard?
Well, if we wanted to start at the very beginning, I always wanted to tell stories. And when I was a kid, I read and wrote very early. And my mom loved books, and so she taught me to love reading and stories as well. And so I would by the time I was in first grade, I was already writing books, because I'd take that construction paper and I'd fold it and I'd staple it and I'd write my stories and I'd give them to my teachers. And so, I mean, this is something that's always been with me. And I broke into professional writing in a very roundabout way. People sometimes say, "Could you tell us how to break into writing?" And I'm like, I am not the person, because I did everything wrong and then I stumbled into it. I mean, it's like I almost fell into it. I'd started writing in high school, so, in what I believed and was a very serious way. And I had this one book that I'd been working on for years and years and years. And back in those days, it was like passenger pigeons carrying notes. You'd have to print out the whole thing, and you'd have to, or photocopy it, because typing, and send a copy, and with a self-addressed stamped envelope, and they would take about anywhere from 6 months to a year to reply.
Wow.
And they also didn't like you sending it to other people at the same time. So you just, pays your money and takes your chances. And I kept getting the good rejection letters. And by that, I mean, they were not, dear writer, and not signed or anything. These were clearly personal letters. And they said, "This is not for us right now, but please send us your next." And I, being the young and arrogant fool that I was like, no, this is the book. You don't understand. I've been working on this for years. I have 3 trilogies. So for 12, these 12 books. And so I just kept thinking someone would soon recognize my genius. And so 7 years go by, and I keep doing this. And along the way, I went to college, and I started working as an editor for a video review magazine, Video. And as part of the job, I was sent to, there's a big book festival in New York in January. The name is escaping me right now, but it's held at the Javits Center. I don't know why I remember the name of the Javits Center, but I do, and I don't remember the name of the fair. But anyway, So I did what I needed to do for my magazine. And then I'd brought a copy of my book with me. And fortunately, fate stepped in. And y'all have to remember that this was like primitive. We had no access to any websites to help us. There were no books on how to get published, not really. This is 1990s. Right. And so etiquette and things like that just were out the window. And so here I am toting this thing. And I met an editor at a house that I would be interested in working with. And he sat me down and he just told me just these huge helpful things without ever attacking me like, "God, you're so dumb." And now I look at it and I'm like, "Oh God, I was so dumb." Who the hell wants to bring 400 pages of paper extra on a plane home with them? I just did not even occur to me. And I'm like, wow, I can see why that wouldn't be, So he kind of set me on the right path. And I'll be forever grateful for that. And also, there was a press that was affiliated with this tabletop game company called TSR. You may have heard of them.
Small little
they
company.
did this little thing called Dragons and Dungeons, and so they were doing auditions at the time, and I got on a mailing list, and I tried one audition and did not make it, and then about a year or two passed. I'm still shipping out the book right now, right? And another option came up, and it was for this thing called Ravenloft, which was a fantasy / horror realm. And I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. Yeah. And so they had already gotten the story. The idea for the story was there was this vampire named Count Strahd. And in the game, he's this big, scary, bad, tough guy. But they wanted to go back to when he was a very new vampire. It's basically Interview with a Vampire, right? And so I had to write a chapter that could be no more than 20 pages and an outline for the book. And so I'm like, okay, I'm at that point, the video magazine had folded, and so I was unemployed, and I'm like, I have nothing to lose. And so I was thinking, what's interesting about this realm? Well, it's fantasy and horror. It's like, two great tastes that taste great together. And so we've kind of got horror covered with Count Strahd. You have your vampire. Well, what's fantasy? What is a fantasy thing that people think about? You think elves, right? So I created an elven vampire. And he was basically, struggling against his curse. I have to wonder if Joss Whedon ever read the book, because Angel paralleled a lot of it, and my book came first.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah. I'll never know. But, and it's not like it's an inconceivable idea for someone else to think of. And that happens all the time, by the way. And I won the audition. Everything was read blind. They had no idea who I was, what skill sets or anything I had other than what they saw. And they're like, great. Okay, we want you to do this. And we want it in 3 months. Go.
Oh.
And of course, by then I'd gotten a job. I'm like, oh, this would have been nice.
A while ago.
So I had to write a media tie-in book on a world that had not yet really been developed in 3 months while working a full-time job. And I was 27 years old.
Ooh.
And baby. But I did it, and it sold very well. And it's been really lovely because the technology has now brought the book back to when it went out of print. It's gone. It used to be gone, and if you all that you could hope was that you'd find it in a bookshop somewhere. And that's not the case anymore.
As a preservation person, yes, that's we spend a lot of time hunting old bookshops. Yes. But you now have online bookshops, and you have ebooks, and you have audiobooks. And so I started noticing about 10 years ago this kind of resurgent interest. And so I had royalties. The book, I was paid $4,000 to write the book. Oh boy, don't spend that all in one place. And a 4% royalty. And I'm still getting money. Yeah, that's...
I'm still getting money. I mean, and it's getting more. And I'm like, what a good boy. Thank you, Jander. You're taking care of your old mom. That's great. So it's been pretty awesome. And, I can totally lost it when I heard about Astarion. And I'm like, I made that. I did that. To the best of my knowledge, and I have put that out there to have it refuted, because I don't want to claim something that isn't true. But I think I'm the first to do that. And if you
first to write Astarion?
No, first to write an elven vampire.
Oh, I see. Yes, I see.
Oh, nice.
And because I did not see it anywhere, I came up with that all on my own. And now, if you Google elven vampire, you're going to get an awful lot of results.
Yep.
And so far, people have said, well, I thought of an elven vampire. And I'm like, not quite the same thing. Did you copyright it? You know, this is how we establish these things. You know?
Exactly, yeah.
And besides, you're 20. You know,
so it was the template for a lot of people's early, their more edgy characters in the early 2000s. So
it's what a compliment, man. I mean, it's incredible to me, and it's very humbling because, you know, it kind of feels like I was making a mess of trying to get published on my own because I just wasn't doing it. So I felt like, you know, some deity said, "Oh, for pity's sake, here." You know, get going, child. So that's how I got started with writing.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I started doing media tie-ins from the outset, and I did not know that at the time, this isn't true as much anymore, but at the time they were really looked down on. So I mean, there's like, you know, here's your literary fiction. You know, that's respectable stuff. And then I suppose genre fiction is okay as long as it's mystery, you know, or historical fiction, and then we'd go to romance, which, you know, some people would hold their nose up. But let me tell you, romance writers are some of the best business people in the industry. They are very savvy. They make a ton of money, and they know the business. They know what to do. They are very smart and very sharp. And it's kind of funny because less so now, but back then they always had these gauzy, out of focus, you know, pictures of the authors, right? Yeah. And then you meet them at a convention, they're like, "Well, hon, let me tell you," you know, these are these tough broads. Love them. But then it would keep dropping, right? Science fiction, media tie-ins of any sort. Oh my gosh, terrible. Science fiction tie-ins. Fantasy's worse, and the very worst was fantasy media tie-in for games. It was the bottom of the barrel, and I, in my wide-eyed naivete, just thought, I wrote a book. You know, it's cool.
Yeah,
my idea. You know, and I got it published, and you know, my name's on it, and you know, I just and I, you know. The joke was with my friends, it's like, "Oh, Christie, you didn't understand the assignment. You're supposed to be a hack." And I'm like, darn it.
Darn.
I figured with my name on it, I should like try to
a real person.
Try to write it well. You know, imagine that, not just phone it in. So, and that stood me well. That's work ethic I got from a dad, you know, who's basically a paladin, and very lawful good.
Dark Templar Saga is my personal favorite books.
Thanks.
As well as The Eye Makes Fuck. I think those are my favorites because it's really cool. It's good to see somebody's perspective on, well, it's clear that Protoss in your books are kind of a little bit inspired, at least writing-wise, by the elves a little bit, which is fine. That's probably what they were inspired by Blizzard as well, so who knows, but it's really cool, and I like that. I like that you're able to capture the StarCraft 1 Protoss, in my opinion, better than StarCraft 2 did. So, that's my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you. I love the Protoss. They were fun, and there were that was a lot of fun because they were largely a blank slate. And when I was hired to do the trilogy, I pretty much got to figure out their biology. So, you know, it's like, well, they have no mouths. How what do they do? So, photosynthesis.
So that was you. Was the you got it kind of free reign into because that's a huge thing now. Is the photosynthesis, the plant aliens essentially, breathe through the skin.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. You know, when you're doing a media tie-in, you need to do what's required of you. And I'm like, I have, a limited amount of time. So I figured out what they needed. And I was like, whatever else, because there's no point in me going down that, and figuring it all out and having it be, something I was like, this is really cool. And then have them go, no. And then you just get sad. So.
Yeah, so we're getting into the Dark Templar saga. The character I think had the most impact, definitely, that you, from what I gather, created mostly on your own was Valerian Mengsk. Became a very important character. How was that process of getting to shape Valerian? Because I know there was a lot of, yeah.
It's really funny. It's very simple. It was so simple. My marching orders were like, and I said, well, okay, what is he like? Tell me about him. They're like, well, we haven't really developed him at this point. We do know that he has gray eyes and blonde hair, and he's Mengsk's son. And we don't know if we want him to be a good guy or a bad guy yet. Go.
I was about to ask, yeah, that's another question I had, was whether you had a draft planned for bad Valerian or good Valerian.
Did they give you concept art? Did they give you anything like that?
Yeah, no? Nothing.
From what I saw another interview, they made the concept off of your work.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Oh, that's awesome, actually.
And, really cool. So I'm like, all right, if he's not a good guy, not a bad guy, he's got to be at least someone, and this is kind of an alternate rant, which I can follow up on if you want, about good traveling companions. Let me address this question and we can go on to that. And I was like, all right, we'll probably have figured this out by the end of the trilogy, at least who he is for this book. But I just kept everything as mysterious and neutral as I could, because I didn't know if in the end I'd have to is there going to be a big betrayal or is there going to be whatever? And so I was like, all right, well, how else could I make him interesting in ways that could be cool, positive or negative? And how could he be? And I did this with Anduin too, is like, how can the child be different from the parent? Because we all love the idea of, oh my gosh, it's so-and-so and their kid. That's cool stuff. That's immediately interesting to us. But kids struggle against their parents. Sometimes they are exactly like their parents. Oh, you've got your father's eyes, whatever. And, but they need to be who they are. And so for him, I'm like, all right, so let's look at his dad. And he's kind of like this big bear, no nonsense, very powerful man physically and, what he commands. And I was like, well, what if he's not quite that way? What if he likes weapons too, right? He's into weapons, but what if they're antiques? And what if they're more elegant weapons? A weapon for a more civilized age. Oh, sorry. No, wrong IP.
Wrong Star game.
Love it.
Tangential to that, I know you're, because I know I read and was checking up for this, you did Korean sword fighting at the time. Well, did that factor into Valerian's, how you wrote Valerian as a sword fighter and a weapon collector? Because I
just like sword fighting. I mean, everybody likes sword fighting, and it's an easy, and that's such a part of fantasy, is the named swords and their power, more so than an axe or even a bow and arrow or something. Like the sword is like the weapon, and it's sword fighting is. I also was in the SCA. Society for Creative Anachronism. I was in that for many, many years. Cool. And I just thought that was interesting. He likes these antique weapons. He likes these antique way of doing things, because he realizes that there are things to learn from in the past. He is a learner. He is not going to make the mistakes of his father. And so it was fun to develop that, the whole types of port.
The Tawny. And then even
versus the Ruby.
Mengsk had the grandfather have a different kind of port, which I enjoyed.
I know. That was fun when I read that afterwards. I'm like, oh, this is great. It's fun. It's fun when somebody, you drop something and someone picks it up and runs with it.
Yeah. Does Valerian's, you said that you like it when swords have names. Does Valerian's sword have a name?
I don't think so.
I
don't think so. I think
not that we know
several of them.
Yeah, he has a lot.
I was just thinking, in the author have a name of it in their head. That's all I was thinking. But
I don't
okay.
I don't think he's
He's not the type to name an object.
No, he's expected to know their history, know how they're made, and how to care for them properly in the respect they deserve, but I don't think he names them. That's just me.
Okay.
That
Watch.
makes sense.
Star Trek comes out, and there's like, the name of Valyrian sword!
Valerian sword, oh my.
So I guess, and
Even-
goes to what's behind you too. Valerian and Anduin, I know, get compared a lot, which I think is rather unfair because I think they're very different characters in spite of they're blonde. They're blonde and voiced by Josh Keaton and Eric
They
Harris.
drew him similar. That's not on me.
Yeah.
The design is not on me. They drew him similar hairstyling, and they got the same voice actor for it. And then they're like, "Oh, we're so surprised that people are comparing them." And I'm like, "What?"
That bugged me because Josh Keaton was Valerian first, and everyone calls Valerian the Anduin ripoff, and that
Space Anduin. Yep.
Yeah, but I'm curious because you've written extensively on both. Like, what's your thoughts on how the difference in how you've written them and difference in the character?
Valerian did not have Anduin had a rough childhood, but it was emotionally rough.
Yeah.
You know, he had a distant father who was, didn't have a lot of friends. He was different from his father. Whereas Valerian was raised with danger every minute.
Mm-hmm.
And he really couldn't rely on anyone other than himself. He has no light to sustain him. He doesn't have that. He's tougher. I don't think he's smarter. I think Anduin is very smart, but I think he is more streetwise. And oh my God, my favorite scene in any of the StarCraft books is when Matt Horner, who doesn't really like him very much at this point in the book, in Flashpoint. I was like, Farpoint, and I'm like, that's entirely different.
Yeah.
I do like that dynamic in the book.
Yeah, it's a good title.
Yeah.
It's a good title. And I loved Matt. I loved getting to write Matt, and he's just like pushing Valerian. He's like, you're never gonna pass.
The
look
rag
at
on
you.
the
You're
face.
so handsome, like this, and on the face. And then, he lifted a finger and brought it precariously close to his nose, and Matt's like, no, don't. He's like, I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
I'm gonna boot you. I'm gonna do it.
And I just that just kind of came, and it was like, it felt very organic, and it felt like they're playing with each other, right? And they understand each other a little bit more as they go on, and Valerian is like, I could do it. Don't worry, dude.
It's so cool because in Heart of the Swarm and Legacy of the Void, and even Covert Ops, like you slowly see them kind of working together a lot more, and then Nova, they're just flat out just like teammates. It's almost like he's his right hand man or something.
Well, they are.
Stories about
yeah. And that is another question. And sorry, Mark, because I know we're going to be bounced around on the sheet. But were you was that something that you organically came up with, like their whole camaraderie, or was that something Blizzard said, we need this because later that becomes like Valerian's Emperor and Matt is his second, his admiral, and that's like a core.
I honestly can't remember. That may have been said, but I think I like to follow where the characters. I like to develop the characters, or if they're not my creations, I like to understand them well enough so that I can follow them when I'm like, oh, how would he react? And then I know exactly how he'd react. So I just felt like their personalities, because Matt's a fair person and he can have his prejudices, and justifiably so, because of, everything that he's had to deal with. But I also think he's a fair person, and Valerian is also a fair person, and he's going to know that people are going to have a hard time with him. And it just didn't seem logical for them to be anything other than kind of trying to get the measure of each other and sparring a little bit before going, all right, dude, you're all right. So, but I can't say for certain about that.
Yeah. I don't know if Subsourian wants to move on to this or not right now, but one other character in that book, Flashpoint, that me and him both agree on he wrote really well is Mira Han.
My absolute favorite interpretation of
it's like you saw that one NPC in Wings of Liberty, and you're just like, oh my god, I love this girl. I'm gonna make her the funniest person in the world.
I really liked, because I feel like a lot of things play too much on the joke of, Matthew. You actually balance that humor with, she's actually really frightening. So
she's got to be it's the idea of the insane gnome with pink hair being utterly terrifying, and I like the idea that she also does care about him.
Yeah. I love how layered you made there, because a lot of people take it on its face, but you added a lot of they actually do care, but it's also kind of, she's playing it up because,
because to be fair, in Wings of Liberty, they do just play it off as a joke, and when I was a kid and I first played the game, it didn't click with me that it was actually legit for a while because of how joking they were about it in the game. And I was a kid, so of course I didn't get it. But at the time I was like, they're laughing about this too much. I don't think they're actually married. But no, they're actually married.
Well, they're not actually married. That's the thing. They like each other, but they're not married.
Right, but Mira acts like it. And it always confused me as a kid. So, but yeah, I love the way you wrote her. And
thank you.
Yeah.
She's a delight.
She is. Did you what was your experience? And I'm sorry if this is kind of backtrack a little bit, but what was your experience playing / watching somebody else play StarCraft 1 and then StarCraft 2? Did you play any of the games? I think I read once that you watched a husband or somebody play them.
Yep. I'll tell you, it's been wonderful to have the internet and all of its resources available. I'd never played a video game until World of Warcraft. And the only reason, we can get into how I got into that later, but in fact, I'll table that for another question later. But yeah, and I don't really need to know the stats, and that's not what I'm telling you. I'm not telling you a story of somebody who's a character in this game that's really the player. I'm telling you the story of these characters that we're trying to showcase as people with lives outside the lines of dialogue that you hear and the places that you see them in, people that are fully realized characters. And to me, that's the great joy of the books, because it's a much bigger canvas to paint on, and you can take your time and you can go through these things. But Mira was just, she was somebody who was just like, I will take it from here. I know what I'm going to say. And just go ahead and do it. She was great. Yeah. She was great. That kiss, that's one of my favorite scenes to write ever. And he's just like almost passing out from loss of blood. And like, what?
I do a timeline.
Like, this is my heroic moment, Matthew. You will not ruin it for me.
I do a timeline reread every year of StarCraft, and I got this close to the end of Flashpoint before this, so it's fresh. And actually, that kind of leads into another thing I had, because one thing I know you do a lot with characters, especially characters you designed, like Jacob Randall, personally, Philip Randall, Jacob Randall, and Ezekiel Dawn. The exploring characters that you would never see in the games, but still kind of keep that tone. Whereas I feel like there's a lot of that get more into like, this is the unit and this is a character based on the unit. But where do you find a balancing those two kind of things, like something that recognizable for the games, but it's entirely its own thing?
I can't tell you. I just, it's not anything that I do deliberately. Again, I look at what's available, and in my imagination, every single one of these is a person with their own story, with their own way of talking, with their own quirks and mannerisms, and I just need to pluck one of them and tell their story.
So when is Philip Randall getting his book? Because
I love Philip Randall. He was
loved that. Was a fun character.
Fun fact. I also wrote an Assassin's Creed book called Heresy, and I did the novelization of the movie. And in the movie novelization, we have 4 short stories based on the assassins that the people in the prisons, in the labs and stuff were. And one of them is dealing with a character who is, I may even have used the name Philip Randall, but it's him.
I'm definitely. Thank you for getting more stuff for me to add to the wiki. 'Cause that's cool. Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of the wiki, speaking of the wiki, Subsourian doesn't know this, but I have a couple of secret questions that I wanted to ask. Or one secret question I wanted to ask for every author. Was there ever a time where you went to the wiki for information? To the StarCraft wiki. I'm gonna make Subsourian blush.
I don't think so, because again, that was so long ago that I don't know. Also, I was in Australia with dial-up.
Oh yeah.
In 2004 or 5.
Yeah, the wiki wouldn't have been a while
one of the books. So yeah. Yeah. I would try to play WoW with my friends, and I'd lag so badly I'd kill them.
I've had that back in college internet.
Last night I was coming up with more questions for this, and I was just like, that'd be so funny if one of the authors took from one of the Subsourian's pages.
I did have a follow-up, a semi-follow-up, because in Flashpoint you get to expand like Annabelle Thatcher, a lot of the very minor characters, and I noticed that for Cooper especially, you took from a lot of stuff that was like cut lines that are hidden deep in the editor, like his bias against Protoss. I'm curious if that was like something that you had like a list of, if Chris Metzen brought to you, or if you actually dug those up. How'd you find that kind of that information, which is really buried?
Not that Cooper just like betrayed everybody. I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
I really.
That's okay if it's something you don't remember.
It's the mists of time, man.
Yeah, it's a while now.
This is almost 20 might have been told about where they wanted to take some of the characters. In fact, I was told that we needed a traitor, and I was told that somebody needed to die. And I think I got to pick who.
Poor Annabelle.
And then I would say,
how dare you kill Annabelle? How dare you kill a random NPC? How dare you?
I know. Talk to me about Kindy, okay? People go nuts about her.
Gosh, yes. God,
I bet they do.
My bugbear was always Rick Kidd. How dare you?
How dare you?
That was marching orders.
Yeah, I figured that
was
one
marching
was
orders to kill
Ezekiel
her.
Dawn cleaning house of the.
Ezekiel
to make sure.
Dawn was fun.
Oh, that was fun
too.
I guess I also.
He's not mine.
Oh,
he's not mine. That came in the outline. I had a really. Here's the thing. People say, "Oh, how does this work? How does this whole tie-in stuff work?" And do they give you this complete detailed outline, or do they just go, we want these things, go for it? And the answer is it depends on the project, not even on the company, because they're all different. For instance, War Crimes was, we want to have a war crimes trial for Garrosh Hellscream, and we're going to fly you out here. I'll sit in a room and we're going to figure out what that looks like. I'm like, sounds good. For Devil's Due, I had a very detailed, something like 40-page outline about, who did what, and who this is. So Ezekiel was there, and they're just saying, you got to make him really, really scary. And I'm like, I'll do my best.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
So, one of the scariest alien characters, but still horrifyingly alien.
Oh my God. Writing Tychus Finley.
Oh, I was going to say, I could tell you had a lot of fun with Devil's Due.
I had Neil Kaplan's voice in my head, and it was just spitting out the one-liners, and I am like, oh man, this is gold. So it's just like, it was great. It was so much fun.
that was always the debate because Devil's Due was sadly the one that didn't get an audiobook, but also Neil Kaplan does audiobooks. So we're like, do we want Christie or Neil? Because both these would be.
Oh man, I would prefer Neil in a heartbeat because I want to hear it.
Yeah.
I want to hear that. I want to hear that performance.
Why have we not gotten an audiobook from that book yet?
These decisions are made by the publishers and Blizzard about where they want to direct people's attention. So,
right. All right. Well, you guys in the audience know what to do. Go harass everybody. I'm kidding. No, don't do that. Don't do it.
So
it'll make it worse.
I guess jumping back with Dawn and all that, one of the big places that's a thoroughfare in your book is Dead Man's Rock. And I've noticed, because I'm someone who's been following development of StarCraft, it appears in Wings of Liberty, but during development, it was initially, the whole tile set was called Port Zion, and at the last second it got changed to the Dark Templar Saga's Dead Man's Rock. Was that a place you made, or was that
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
That was fun.
It's a fun place.
Make up things. It's fun to create places.
Yeah, and it's a pretty common stomping ground now. Okay.
That's so cool. This is the thing. There's joys and difficulties and challenges and rewards in whether you do original fiction or media tie-in. I believe media tie-in is harder because, like I said, I don't phone it in. So that means I have to give you everything that I would if it were my book, right? I've got to have interesting characters and good dialogue and fun action and pacing and, blah, blah, blah. But I have to do it with characters that aren't mine, that have marching orders, that I can't take in certain directions, who have to behave a certain way. And it's a whole by committee thing. Many, 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 many eyes are on this. And so the joke that I like to use is it's like the joke with Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. You have to do Ginger did everything Fred did as a dancer, but she had to do it backwards and in high heels. So, we have to do all of this stuff and something extra. But it really is wonderful to work with a franchise that what you do matters. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're parallel worlds, and what happened here is not what happened here. And that's fine too.
I was going to ask, because I know you're a Star Trek writer, and Star Trek rather famously, the books are their own thing.
They are their own thing.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, with they mentioned with Legacy of the Void, your books were like foundational, so it's like, that's
beautiful.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun to, and I did this a lot also with Lord of the Clans and Azeroth, because everything was very new then. So they're like, we don't know yet, go for it. And so I do something, and then next thing you know, there's 2 moons in the sky. So it's really fun. It's really fun. The heartbreak, of course, is if you do a character and the franchise decides they want to do something with it that you really, really, really don't want them to do, but you can't do anything because it's their character.
Has that happened that you can talk about, I guess?
Once, so that I know of. But that was many, 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 many years ago. But I didn't know about it until recently, and they were like, and people said, "Oh, this is what happens to this character," and I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's not how I wanted to go.
Oh, okay. Sure. Another writer has taken over my character and done this and that. Oh, great.
Well, it's sometimes you're just like, why? But that's not my call. It's not my character. They have things that they want that character to set up or to do, or they need to get the character out of the way for a reason. And it's the cost of doing business. And if you don't want people to do that with your characters, then you need to write your own original fiction. But you also don't get, and it's crazy working at Blizzard and be able to write the cinematics.
Oh, yeah.
And then see our Blizzard's incredible animation team take over, and the voice actors and the music, and oh my Lord. And I'm like, these were just typed words. And look what these people did with it. It's really wonderful.
I wanted to ask, did you have any say in casting Josh Keaton as Valerian or anything like that? Was it any coincidence? Because Subsourian told me you two know each other. I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh, I know him because I've worked with him.
Yeah,
I don't know him personally before that. No, he was cast as Anduin back in Mists of Pandaria. And
as I mentioned, Valerian was actually his first role before.
Right, that's what I was asking. Did you ever work with him while he was doing Valerian or Oberyn?
No, sadly.
What his name is? Okay.
Sadly, no. But
That's
I
right.
love.
He did a great job, I think. So.
He was great. I mean, and it's really fun to see him in other roles and just realize how well he is. Like you like, oh, that's Josh. I know his voice, right?
Yeah.
But it's sounds different. It's just different. And even if the timbre is the same, it's it's good acting is what it is. It's just like other actors. You see them in movies and they're different. These characters and they do a great job. But my first time in the booth, and this is very important for people to understand. I worked with a division called Story and Franchise Development.
I was just about to tell you to clarify their role because and some people at Blizzard still don't know what we do. It's kind of complicated and a little different. And so basically, we're the people that the game teams come to when they want a short story, a cinematic, a song, a comic. Things like that. Anything that promotes the franchise and continues the story. So story and franchise development. We don't write games. We haven't done that in a while. We don't plan the games. We're not involved with that. If we're brought in for a particular project, it's a courtesy to us by the team. That's not part of how this all works. They come to us and say, we want a cinematic and it has to do this. And I'm like, that sounds like media tie-in writing. So I kind of knew how to do that. And so that's what I did when I was at Blizzard, was I worked with the cinematics and the short stories and things like that. And writers did not have to be in the recording booth. But I had some really lovely directors, and they always made sure that I was, which I really appreciated. Yeah. And so I learned how to work with voice actors, and I'm a theater kid myself. And so it was, and my mom once said, Christie, you're such a good audience. And by that, I'm inclined, I come in wanting to like something, wanting to love it. I'm ready. I'm not coming in here going, impress me. I'm like, I'm ready. And so, we go in there and our director would have some feedback and I'd write down my feedback and I'd write down 9 things and 8 of them my director also spotted, of course, because they're the director. So they would talk to them and then they would ask me. And I could just remember so many times I'm like, sorry, I'm too busy wiping my tears to say anything. This was fantastic. It was so good. I mean, and everybody likes to hear that, and especially when it's true. And so I just really, it was a whole lot of fun and just very magical to see these things take on another life outside your head. And my personal shout out. Did you know Maddie Buckingham on the team?
I do.
She was She did a lot of the StarCraft stuff, so we used to talk a little. So super wonderful person. Love her. Wonderful person. Yeah, great person. As my one contact to that team. So I'm kind of looping back to I know you've read a lot of the tie-in, other tie-in fiction to put it in, but I know Imansk was made during your Dark Templar saga, when you were writing Valerian. Did you work with Graham at all on that, or? Okay, it was pretty parallel, which is impressive because he kind of took every little bit you made for Valerian and just expanded it out in a way that, frankly,
he did a great job.
Yeah.
He really did. That's a wonderful book. It
felt like you two coordinated.
Good. That means that somebody up whose job it was to do that was doing an excellent job. And
Great.
yeah, so I do prefer. I'm very collaborative, and I'm always wanting to know. All right, what's the game team planning? How can I help you set that up? And there have been a lot of times where, had I known something, I could have avoided something that turned out to be wrong.
Right.
And it can be very frustrating, but there's rules, there's regulations, there's protocol. And that's with anything. That's, not just with gaming companies, that's with all media tie-ins. There are, things that you can know and things that, need to know, and they may think you don't need to know. And my constant struggle is to somehow articulate to people that you may think I need to know XYZ facts, but what I may need to know may be something you would never think to tell me that is the key to doing something incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So please give it all to me, and I will find the thing. But companies don't really feel comfortable doing that. And, I work with people who understand that, but they're just not in a position to do it. So.
Yeah, sucks. I forgot what I was going to say. You say something.
I'll go into my So I'm sure you've seen I know you love the art because I've taught, but I love the covers to the Dark Templar saga especially. I'm actually probably going to be getting a tattoo of the Ulrazaj one.
Ooh.
But as a wiki article, so we basically know like the Twilight's Ulrazaj, Shadowhunter is Rosemary and Zamara. I didn't know if you happen to know who the Protoss on the other. Was it Temla or Koss? Because as a wiki categorization person, it's bugged us.
Let me see.
Because
I don't know. I think this is okay. I'm talking. I have no idea what I'm saying here.
Perfectly fine.
My theory, based on nothing except maybe a memory, is that this is Samara, and this is the woman, the female Protoss that we
Selendis
spoke with. Selendis.
Oh, okay.
So, because that looks a little bit more like her. So, that's my working theory.
There's another character that you run in that Wings of Liberty adapted. And then
no, that was given to me. That's
yeah.
It was given to you? Okay.
Yeah. They wanted her, and I'm like, okay, tell me about who she is. I'll try and find a way.
I also, and I guess that I'll lead that into, because you also got to write the hierarchy of all the Protoss, which was going to be the cast of Legacy of the Void, and they dropped it. Did you get like a big was that in the outline, all the personalities and all whatnot on them, or?
I did get information on all of them. Yep.
Okay.
And,
we got the concept art but yeah. So interesting.
Yeah.
Nahan was the kind of asshole Aura tribe one was always my favorite.
That was fun. It was fun. I got to give them, again, they give me bits and pieces, and I take something and they go like this, and try to give them personalities based on these key factors of what's important to them and things like that.
Well, my lore fans would be remiss if I didn't ask, because it's always been and I know it's the struggles of writing during a developing game, but the Tal'Darim have been, because you wrote them one way and then the games went a different way, and then
they went another different way.
But while insisting it was the same group, was that something that they told you to write, like we need this as this way, or like was it?
I believe that's something I came up with during the creation of the story arc. Again, it's not up to me what they decide they want to do with it. So
that's what I figured it was. It's always been a wonder because
but I came up with them.
The Tal'Darim are kind of all over the place in StarCraft 2, whereas with you, it's a lot more simple where they come from and everything. So
it was a great point of confusion because everyone loved them in Shadowhunters, and they got to the games and it's like, hey, this is completely different. So I mean, it's not nothing you can do about it, but it's and there's I had a great teacher of history when I was in high school, and he says people do things for a good reason and a real reason. And
True.
you know, and once you hear that, you look at history with different ways. You're welcome. You can now use that. But what's a good reason? You know,
I'll
And
use
what's
it
real
all the
reason?
time. That's actually really wise. Yeah.
And sometimes they're the same. You know, sometimes the good reason is the real reason, but sometimes, you know, you do something because so you want to do X, and we love these worlds. Okay, we the fans love them. We write fanfic. We do art. We take characters in places that the original IP can't, won't, or is, you know, whatever, unable to take them. And everything in it is real to us,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
It's a cohesive
Polarian
universe in our head.
really has gray eyes. And if
Yeah.
somebody says he has blue eyes, yeah. And the problem is a game or a movie deals with things like, oh, well, the actor's voice has changed so much we can't use them anymore. Or this actor has a conflicting or budget, or somebody really, really wants it this way. And these are things, here's our little reality going along with its happy little soundtrack. And sometimes it's like, that's out of character, or why didn't they, that story should have been told. I have a fun story. It's one of my favorite anecdotes. When I came to Blizzard, I really didn't know anything about how to make a game. I just knew how to write characters and stories and things like that. I was definitely a writer. So there were so many things that go into making a game that I had no idea of. And I mean, I'd been associated with Blizzard for years. So I kind of considered myself with the inside track. It's like, no.
Yep.
There's so much going on.
Yep.
And this is why I try to have patience with a lot of people who have issues, because they just don't see it. They don't know what's going on here. That's affecting their real world.
How the sausage is
characters.
made.
Yeah. And so, like, for instance, here's an example. Say there's a storyline where Gen Greymane should be the one, but we see a cinematic, it's another character, and people go, this isn't real, by the way. This is not anything that actually happened. And people go, that should have been Gen's story. Why wasn't it Gen's story? Bad writing. Well, what's going on? And this part is real. We can't use Gen because we don't have a CGI human model, which we would need, for this particular beat. And he has fur.
Yep.
And I'm like, what? And I'm like, you can't do it because Gen Greymane has fur? I mean, that just sounded like
and that makes
nonsense words strewn together. And they're like, yeah, fur, 3D is expensive. You have to do
He's
this.
a furry, therefore bad.
Hair is definitely
it's no, it's not bad, but different. It may not be what people wanted or thought, whatever, but there are things that you have to do. And sometimes you can't tell the story because Gen Greymane has fur. And I mean, it's so, and there's so many things like that to take in mind when you're working with a living universe. There's so many other people. There's so many moving parts. Just stay for all of the credits on a movie one night. Just, that's been made recently, like Star Wars. Stay for the most recent Star Wars. Just look at all the credits. All of these people involved in it.
No wonder the last couple of Star Wars movies weren't that good. Geez, so many of them. Yeah.
That's also been my theory as to why there's been only one gnome in a cinematic, and it's been in Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah.
Because of it's hard to do well.
Yeah. Comic characters you can do them in dramatic scenes in books. It's harder to do in reality.
Yes.
When you actually see it and say, oh my God, this is like Shakespearean tragedy. And she's got pink hair, and it's just, it's hard. There are all these things that go into it. And I love people for wanting stories that they feel are genuine and are appropriate and things like that. And let me tell you, everybody involved, again, movies, games, everybody wants that. Everybody wants that. But there's just so many things. It's not like an original book, guys. It's just not possible.
Your imagination does the animating for the book.
Well,
Someone has to do it for.
And that's kind of why I love books, because you are really more co-creating with the receiver
Narrator,
of the story, because they have to use their imaginations, and they have to hear in their heads the voice of the actor. Hopefully I've captured it well enough for that to be easy, but they have to see it and they have to see it. And whereas a movie, it's all done for you, which is also cool. There's nothing wrong with either of these mediums, but they're just different. And that's why I think a lot of people cry more at books than movies, because it's more internal.
Yep, they're the ones, feeling and making the story as they go.
They are active participants. And when you're in a game, you're an active participant too, but in an entirely different way. And you always have to keep that in mind. There's just a lot that goes on into making these stories. And honestly, it's a miracle that any of them, get made and can resonate and connect with people. And that's because there's a lot of really talented people out there who are trying, their very best to deliver.
That makes sense.
All right. Sub, can we shotgun a couple questions? I know we are only an hour in, but I'm starting to get excited. So let's.
Okay, yeah.
Let's do it.
I guess the one I really had, because I know you at the time when you were writing our Templar saga, you had watched a playthrough. But you also had to write Ulrazaj, who is from a bonus campaign, which is infamously brutally hard. Enslavers 2 is it's very difficult. I was curious if you actually watched a playthrough of that too, or if you
No, I just got told what happened.
Okay, because that's also a fun one because I noticed a very awkward. A lot of weird stuff happens in there, and you're like, you put a space platform above Shakuris and.
That makes sense, too. Kind of.
But okay, so that's So for Ulrazaj, that was mostly a script given to you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's cool. While Sub looks for the next question, I just wanted to say there's a really cool animation out there. I can send it to you later, but there's a really cool fan animation of some of the more iconic moments from StarCraft 1. And one of them is Ulraj. And it has all these Dark Templar people coming together and form him. That's really cool.
Cool.
And,
there's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You did you did a great job with that character. He was a very, very vestigial, and now he's a very popular, probably one of the more popular book characters. Oh gosh, I had a follow-up to that. Give me 1 second.
You're fine.
Oh, so I guess also I know that there were a lot of, you mentioned in a previous BlizzCon interview, Jake Ramsey was supposed to be psionic, and then at the last second, Metzen's maybe not.
Yeah.
Were there other things like that? And was Ulrazaj planned from the initial outline? Because I noticed he's very his presence is not felt at all until the second book. So I was wondering if that was a.
I think generally when you're doing, I haven't done a lot of trilogies, but generally in a media time for the couple of times that I've done it, gosh, I think maybe only 2. Anyway. Except for the 9-book Star Wars series, but that's a whole other thing. That was insane. But you need to know where the story's going. You need to have the main things in place, and it becomes less and less important for the third as it is for the first. The first is the one you want to get nailed down because, again, living entity. By the time you finish the first, the game team may have, we want to do this instead. Let's go this way. Or you may have come up with something like, oh my gosh, we love that. Or, oh my gosh, we hate that. And you need to either take it out if you were going to use it, or double down on it. So you're always creating. And then when you got the second book, then you look back at here and you're like, all right, this is what we've set up here. How are we going to go through? What's the twist? Blah, blah, blah. So I could not say for sure if that was the end. I think it was. I think all of the big lore things that people wanted were there from the beginning, and it was more how the story was told, and who were the new characters through whose eyes we're seeing it, and things like that. But I think all of the big lore points probably were at least conceived from the beginning.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, considering they probably want the major points. I guess I will bounce around to Flashpoint in my shotguns. Oh, there was one. So I don't know if you kept track of Jacob Ramsey after you did, but I know when you wrote Flashpoint, you added this line, which I've always wondered. Valerian freely admitted that he had not remained unmoved by the experience of getting to know these two people. It made him regret even more what he had later done to Jake. Was that in reference to what he did in the Dark Templar saga, or that he sold out? So in later works...
Did you ever hear about the God, I can't think of the name of it.
Project Blackstone?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, it was a tie.
Yes.
Yes, okay. It's been a big debate whether that was intentionally to tie in fact that he got... Oh, good. Wow.
They wanted me to put that little seed in there because they knew that they were going with that. That was so much fun. My gosh.
I was good because that's been the debate of did they mean to seed this?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right.
Yes. Can I do something really fast? Because I feel awkward having brought it up and not sharing it. So let me real quick. It's like 1 minute. Let me share my screen. Is it showing for you guys? Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay. So it's part of the 7-minute long animation.
Yet,
nice.
In the void, darkness takes shape.
I thought you would like this because this is all made by a fan, by the way. This whole thing. This is before StarCraft 2 came out, I'm pretty sure. So
people
all
are
the
so
3D
talented.
models are fan made.
We are as one. Now, can I fall before my breath?
So yeah, and then,
like I said,
then it cuts to another scene from another thing. But yeah,
he's become a rather popular character.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Fans do such amazing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Oh my gosh.
Cool.
To bounce quick.
Thank you for showing that. That's
no
really,
problem.
really wonderful.
Yeah.
So one point in Flashpoint with my recent reread, I've kind of focused on was your writing of Dr. Narud, who, of course, is secretly a Xel'Naga in disguise. How was writing that, that subtlety? I noticed that you really try to give the impression that nothing was wrong with him until everything was wrong with him. But what went into writing Narud as a lot of fans knew at this point he was Duran, but no one had really said so.
It's fun to do things like that. It's really fun. And one of the things that you wrestle with as a writer is how do you say enough to play fair without tipping your hand? So you want to be subtle so that people go, oh my God, I mean, and I think the classic example for success at this is The Sixth Sense, because it's all there. It's all there. They didn't cheat a thing. It's all there. But we went into it with this assumption. And then it was like, I'm getting goosebumps again. That reveal was amazing. And I didn't have it spoiled for me. I'm so glad. So that's hard. And sometimes I'll get reviews and I'm just like, okay, I foreshadowed that, guys. I did it here, and here. And people go, this is terrible. It comes out of the blue. And then somebody else, of course, comes and says, oh my God, I knew what was going on from page 7.
It was predictable. Yeah.
That is so predictable. So, you just do the best that you can. And, but it's hard. It's hard to seed enough, but not too much.
I guess also a follow-up. So one of the interpretations of the Escape from Dead Man's Port when everyone's running away, because Narud's like he's pretending, he's basically a god. He's like pretending to be a man. And there's stuff like, oh, he falls and a bullet goes by. And there's a fan interpretation of like, oh, he's actually like manipulating events so everyone survives. Do you buy into that theory at all? Or I guess it's more of a fan idea, but
it could be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, confirm it's this, but it's like it's an interesting way to view it.
That is an interesting way to view it, and it's not necessarily. Here's the thing. Again, we talked about reality. What's real and what's not. Just because a thing isn't what people who designed it meant, doesn't mean that someone's interpretation of it is wrong.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So much of this is in, especially, these big IPs, just what people see. It could have been. If that person thinks it is, then sure. If they think it isn't, then sure. I can't really remember what I was thinking when I did it, but this is a good time to bring that up, is because just because we didn't see it doesn't mean it's there. It isn't there. And sometimes I think the fans are like into our subconscious, because we'll do something and they'll put this really elaborate thing and we're like, oh my God, they're right. That's totally what they would be thinking at this time. We were alluding to this, but this undertone is a double entendre or a secondary meaning is completely also spot on. So, again, it's fun. It's co-creation. People bring themselves.
Yeah. Have you ever let a fan theory influence like a future thing in a story, like for the trilogy, for example? The Dark Templar trilogy, did you ever let a theory, like, you're like, that's a cool enough theory, I'll make it canon? Have you ever done that with, not just StarCraft, but with anything? Or
there was a really good post. I'm on Blue Sky mostly these days. And there's a post, I can't remember her full name. This is terrible. Her name's Jennifer, and she was the lead writer of Breaking Bad. And she has a wonderful thing that I retweeted, which is just exactly what I would have struggled to say for years about viewing characters and what's real and what's not. And there's one part where she says, I promise you, by the time it gets to where you're seeing it, the people have tried every angle. They have probably looked at all of the fan theories, and had them themselves, and like, nope, that's not going to work, and because of this, whatever. But they have probably had all of the ideas that you are saying, and for whatever reason, that's not what they went with. And so I swear there are times, okay, real big digression here, guys.
Oh, good.
When I was playing World of Warcraft, of course I had a really fun original character that had all this fun stuff going on, and I did lots of role playing and stuff like that. Her backstory was that she had been kidnapped as a child by a group of warlocks, and she had been raised to go forth and steal children for sacrifices. And when she first emerged, she saw the stars, and she had this change of heart, and so she's gone off in this direction. But she's super mentally damaged. She is absolutely a sociopath. She is violent and has quips. Her catchphrases were, "Hey there, sweet thing." And as a warlock, you can, gather all your minions and you can just, farm. And but I would do a role-playing when I was doing it just because I was bored. And I'd say, "Hello, boys," and then stick the things. Here comes River Song on Doctor Who. 5 years later. Her catchphrase is, "Hello, sweetie."
Oh, jeez.
When she has the gun, she's like, "Hello, boys." She was kidnapped as a child, raised to hate the Doctor. She's a sociopath. And I'm just like, down to the catchphrases, people. How is this, and of course I'm like, oh, well, of course the producers of Doctor Who read my little write-ups in the, we didn't even have fan pages there, in the forums.
Yeah, in the forums.
For my particular
That would be insane
server,
if it actually happened.
They did not. This is just another example of creative minds going and doing their creative thing.
I wanna to jump off what you're saying. About 20 or 30 years ago at this point, there's a video that talks about this. There's a video about Kimba the White Lion that talks about this and Lion King and that whole debate. And it's by YMS, I believe is the guy's name. And about something that he uses that's kind of like what you're saying is about 30 or 40 years ago, there was a cartoon short from Looney Tunes with Bugs Bunny playing the piano when he's playing a song. And there's a mouse, just a random rat, just scurrying around inside the piano, and he's trying to play it, but the rat's bugging him, and he's trying to kill him with the piano or whatever. And then 2 or 3 months later, Tom and Jerry comes out, exact same. It's just Tom playing the piano, it's the same song, and he's playing the piano, and it's Jerry running around in the fucking piano. But the thing is this was back in like the 80s or 70s. This was back when this type of shit takes at least a whole year to make a single episode. So it's almost impossible for them to have known, oh, this other person's doing this, we're going to do it too. It's just one of those moments where you're like, yeah, creativity does have a limit. Over time, people are going to come up with a similar creative spark. And it so happened that those two people, one of them could have somehow ripped off the other, but it's very unlikely. And that's, in my opinion, that's kind of like what you're saying, is some people just come up with the same idea.
I have friends in entertainment, and it is so common.
Yeah. Doctor Who people, if you did, it's okay. I'm super excited about it. Okay, so
I also did WoW role playing, so I relate.
Yeah.
Gnome warrior.
Yeah, it's and it's unfortunate because as a formal Blizzard employee, we are not allowed to read fanfic.
Yes,
because we don't want to be, even if it's something that we're like is already in the can. And there were a whole bunch of lawsuits a couple decades ago about plagiarizing, and you can only copyright the execution of an idea. You can't copyright an idea or a title. But, I'll tell you, authors don't make all that much money, most of us. And, hiring a lawyer for like a week would, even if we're completely in the right, so it's just really, it's sad because I don't think that, I think there is some hostility sometimes on behalf of the fans when they see something that has been a popular idea in the fan community. They're excited about it, but there's some people who are mad about it because they took the idea, but they didn't do, they
didn't do it the way I wanted.
The way that they wanted it.
The right way.
And
not my right way.
It's hard. It's hard to be in those spaces. But I left Twitter and it's a lot better.
Yeah, that's
good.
I followed your Twitter and I don't use Blue Sky much, but I followed there and
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think I remember a lot of, and I don't know why, sorry, this is a tangent. Like Warcraft has a thing of like alliance favoritism, horde favoritism, alliance. Meanwhile, every single StarCraft book is from the perspective or all about Terrans, and not a single fan gets complained.
I know. Well, that's because they're not. Well, actually, they do. They play Protoss, and they play.
No, there's a lot of racial identity.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I guess it's just because it's not World of Warcraft. It's just still those specific games. But it's really funny because I would get, oh my God, Christie Golden, Horde bias. She just loves the Horde. And then I get, oh, Christie Golden, she just loves the Alliance. And I'm like, what?
Which one is it?
It's like, I've written both pretty much exactly the same number.
Yeah.
But it's just people see one thing and they get, anyway.
Yeah,
but I think Twitter was particularly bad about that. It really did encourage that kind of behavior. And it's nice to know that maybe that's not really how it is.
Yeah.
That maybe most people are pretty chill.
The
anonymity tends to make, especially for an IP as big as Warcraft.
Oh, yeah.
Warcraft too, but Warcraft especially. Ooh, big. The bigger it gets, the more, louder people, the louder minority they get.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to circle back too, because you mentioned you touched on like reinterpreting a work bit when you did the audiobooks, because I know Ed plug for all those of you with Audible, Christie Golden has done, you've done the Dark Templar trilogy and Flashpoint, right?
Yep.
Okay. They are very well done. I enjoyed them a lot. But when you went back, did you find yourself reinterpreting the emotions of a scene differently than when you wrote them, or is it? I'm always curious because I don't see many authors also narrate their books who have like that insight into the emotions of the scene, and like. But did you have it to where it was you had a different idea going in a second time?
The main thing I found was all the typos and the errors, and because I have a special place in my heart for Vampire the Mist, and of course for Lord of the Clans, but they were earlier works in my career, and Lord of the Clans was done in 6 weeks, and it's so I have become much better at my craft, which is inevitable. If you keep it something, you get better, hopefully, and so it's a little jarring to go back and see all of the things that I wish I could change, but you kind of just have to love it. It's what it was then, and there must have been something in it for it to still be in print. But not so much the characters, because I had very strong, I don't literally hear a voice in my head. So, but I can, if I were to do Captain Kirk right now, I'd hear that. I know Spock. I know Anduin. I know Jake. Jake doesn't have a voice, but I know it.
Yep. No,
and so it was really exciting. And a lot of authors don't do this because they're not trained. And I'm theater trained, and I was a singer. So I understand a lot about, things like that. And so I have a leg up, I think, on most authors because of that experience. But it was great. It was great being able to land on the word that I wanted to, rather than what a narrator thought was the right word to land on. And pronounce the names the way I know they're pronounced.
Shelna Krihas.
What?
Shelna Krihas, the one that has always been a bugbear for me to figure out how to pronounce.
Well, sometimes the way I pronounce them and the way they ended up getting pronounced was different. And that's fine too. Again, you don't own this. But
wasn't that a whole thing with like some? There's like this book. Oh yeah, I say this book like it's a random book. Harry Potter. Hermione was Hermione or something like that. For a while, a lot of people kept on saying
incorrect.
it, and then the author told, I think it was Jim Dale that did the audiobooks. She's like, by the way, it's supposed to be Hermione. And he's like, oh, sorry. So he had to like I think he had to re-record a couple of audiobooks before.
Well, that's not on the. It's never on the narrator. That's not their job. Yeah. If there are names things, you need to give them the correct pronunciations.
That's what I heard. It might be a stupid Reddit lie, but
if he had to do it again, he should have been paid again because that's not his thing. And by the way, I learned you don't have to narrate the whole thing again. You could just go right back to those little things. And I was like, that's nice. That's but so yeah, it was really great to hear the dialogue and the inner thoughts, with the sorrow or the wistfulness or the anger in my voice. It was a lovely, lovely, lovely experience, and I will always be grateful to Blizzard for giving me the chance to do that because it was magnificent, really.
Speaking of voices, actually, one thing I know you don't have a ton more time, so we'll get through. But we had we had Robert Clothworthy and Neil Kaplan both on in our prior season, and both have a very different interpretation of the last, like the scene where Raynor and Tychus have the showdown, where Neil says Tychus went in knowing that he was going to die. If he wanted to kill Jimmy, he would have done him in the back on the way in. And Robert says, no, Jimmy was just quicker on the draw. And as someone who's written both, and mind you, this is purely your opinion, not like, what did they think? But as someone who's written both and who has had to expand on that scene, what's kind of your perspective of both those characters in that scene? Just to add to the, to the I guess, banter between the two voices on how it went down.
Yeah.
Man, I'd have to see that again.
That's okay.
But in my heart, I really think Tychus, as much as he loved anybody, I think he loved Jimmy.
Yeah.
I really do think that there was a genuine affection for him in there.
Yeah. Don't tell Robert that's my interpretation too. So.
My interpretation is the characters both have their actors' opinions. That's
exactly.
Yep.
Again, this is fine. There's no right or wrong here, honestly.
No, I was just curious because I know you've lived in that headspace for Tychus, so especially.
I think
Tychus,
he did. I think because, and that was not my idea, but Tychus thought he was sacrificing himself in Devil's Due for Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they did to him, what kind of torture they did. I don't know. And living in that suit, man, people change.
They do.
People change. And, but I don't think it was something that he was unmoved by. I don't think it was like, yeah, sure, I'll kill him. I don't give a shit. I don't think that was it. I think it was like something that he didn't want to do, but was going to do anyway.
So you mentioned the escape scene where Tychus sacrificed himself. This is a tiny detail and just more of my own wiki. I want to see what it was. So Jimmy escapes in a big power armor suit. That's supposed to be like the StarCraft. Is it supposed to be like the StarCraft 2 Marauder, or was that something Blizzard had put in as like a thing in the outline? I know I'm asking.
An outline thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's mostly what I wanted to know. But yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yep. Cool.
We bounced around a lot, but I think we got most of.
You have some random character questions that
Sure, absolutely. Fire away.
Yeah, let me see. I guess writing Annabelle, it's Annabelle Thatcher. What did you pull on for? And I know you talked about before the fun it is filling a space of basically a empty vessel of a character where they just she says all sugar in the campaign. But yeah, what did you pull into that character?
Is that really all she says? She has one line?
No, she has a couple, but generic Southern Belle in the campaign
that's funny.
Gets a ton of more expansion.
I think at her heart she's an innocent, and I think she really cares about what she's doing. And I think she'd be somebody who would be a really good friend. And it's really sad that she's somebody who actually comes very close to getting happiness in a world where that's not really the thing, and doesn't. And I think that's probably why I wanted to kill her.
Oh my god.
But I think it's more poignant that way than if it's, one of the other guys who's just, I'm super tough and, blah, blah, blah. And people like me, but I'm, she had something. She had something with somebody who was far beyond anything she could, in other circumstances, their paths would not cross. And it, again, what are we fighting for, right? What is important in our world? Why do we go out there and join, the rebels and fight hard for something? We want it because we want that. We want that for people. We want them to be able to have the quiet moments and to find connections and to, have peace, not just peace, but peace. Just quiet, silly, stupid moments. Don't really mean everything, and they also mean everything. And so I think that's why I wanted of all of the cast members, because she was the innocent. She was the one who dared to dream, and her loss hit harder than it would some other character.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess leading off that, one aspect of Flashpoint, because leading into her death is what kind of slaps Jimmy awake. I noticed you have a pretty good interpretation of Jimmy he has to be almost irrationally protective of Kerrigan, but he almost goes over the line of too protective to the point of potentially damaging her and everyone he knows. Was that an intentional, I guess silly to ask whether it was intentional, but how was writing Jimmy at that point in his life where everyone's out to get Kerrigan, and he's probably being too protective for his own good, or for her own good, really?
I think he is a man who's lost so much, and he doesn't let a lot of people in. And I think that's why Tyka stung so much, because they were close. And I think he's gone through all of this. He's always believed in her. And to have it, finally, to have her, and all I have to do now is just to keep her safe until we can figure this thing out. I think that starts to become the only thing that you focus on. Mm-hmm. And anything else, not right now, this thing, because it was just so important to him.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get lost in things that we think are very, very important.
Makes sense. Yeah. And this is a personal one for me because it's one of my unrelated to StarCraft, but how is Dark Disciple was probably one of my favorite new canon books. How was writing based off of basically an old movie script, or not movie, an old TV show script, and having to adapt that? Because I'm always saying that different mediums, it's very hard to adapt. Something made for the screen into a book, you always have a struggle. It's more of a struggle. But how I think you did a great job with that, frankly. But
Thank you. I've done a few novelizations. I've done about 3 or 4 of them now, and they are a challenge. Once again, you think, oh, it's all done for you. It's like, no, it's not. You got to determine whose point of view, and you've got to determine, there's usually a 90-minute movie is not going to have enough for you to do a whole book on. So you've got to have other things in there. Like Assassin's Creed was particularly challenging because it was almost like minute by minute. So there weren't 6 months later where I could have events occurring in that time space. And this was pretty easy. It was much more like an outline because we did have, I think, 4. Don't quote me on that, but I think there were about 4 completed scripts, so like 2 hours worth, and the rest was like the outline, and here's where we want to go, and we sometimes followed it like point by point, and other times we'd talk about, well, how about if we try this? And what if this comes in here on this? And what if we bring back this? And blah, blah, blah. And how about this character makes an appearance? Whatever. So a lot of the Anakin Kenobi stuff was not there. It's a lot that was made up. Because the scripts were mainly... All right, so episode The Clone Wars, right? It's 15 minutes. There's like two storylines usually going on in there. And so there's a plot, there's a subplot, or a parallel plot. And there's the focus with these characters, and then there's the focus with these characters. And so it's only on about 15 minutes each time, this little thing that had to be stitched together. And so I kind of really leaned into Kenobi. There was a lot more Kenobi than was in there originally, because he was such a great touchstone, because he could understand them both. And he just had this misgiving, about what was going on in the first place. And so he was a really, really good touchstone. So it was really not that hard for me. It was just a question of, when do we take the whole chunk and where do we choose to expand on this chunk versus where do we have something new coming in and, another adventure maybe that was not in the script. So it was adapting, but a lot of new stuff was added significantly.
And you did, I don't know if you keep track of Star Wars, you did see Ventress's Back from the Dead.
Oh, yes.
Everyone's very much wants her
yes.
and Quinlan to meet up again. Because they hinted Quinlan's around too, so yeah.
Yeah.
We all do.
It was so nice because there was a statement afterwards saying, we have not thrown out anything that's in Dark Disciple.
Yes, I did see that. I think it was Dave
and I saw like the trailer for it, and I'm talking to my editor over Star Wars, and cut that out or not. I've done so many Star things, Star Trek, Star Wars, Craft, and I was like, I'm super excited. I'm curious. Are we retconning the book? And, I'm not going to go after him and go, you guys are better. Because, again, this is their character, whatever they want to do. I'm just delighted she's back because I love her. And so it was just really heartwarming to find out that was not the case. And we still don't know exactly what that means. And I am like, well, just in case you ever want to do more novels about her. So we'll see what happens.
Hopefully, because
I would love it. She was such a great character, and the weight of doing right by her was huge. It was like writing the Sylvanas book. There was so much intensity associated with the character, and I was just like, I've got to get her right. I've got to really capture her, and I've got to make this romance believable and, one that people are rooting for. So that was a wonderful project to do. I really enjoyed it.
I have another question. It's about Flashpoint. That Sub has written down. What happened to Warfield and Char? Did you like have anything planned to write with him there?
It was
just in the background.
It was noted that he was on the back cover, and everyone's like, "Well, what happened to him on the?"
I really don't remember. Again,
it's been.
You guys are smart. You're reading up on it, and I'm just like, I don't know. When you write 60 of these, they all kind of blur together.
That's wrong.
You're mine, Christie.
I'm not sure.
We don't want to batter you with plot holes. We're not Twitter. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. I know. We're all trying our best.
Yes, we all try our best. We're all human.
And I guess this and this one isn't really even a plot hole because I know this was because of the ambiguous fake. There was one member of the Hyperion crew, Gabriel Tosh, who canonically he survives, but it's a split choice whether you kill him or he survives. I was wondering if there was any talk of including him in Flashpoint, or if they were like, no, we need to make sure that the choice, we don't address the choice essentially.
I don't think that came up.
That is.
Okay.
I don't think that came up at all. So
makes sense. It was.
All right.
I don't have a memory of discussion around it.
And I guess this is a personal for one of your characters. What do you think happened to Charles Witter? Because Charles Witter, the stooge for Arcturus with Valerian, and he is absent in Flashpoint, probably for very good reasons. But do you think Valerian left him behind intentionally, or
where do we last see him?
He is last seen in Twilight, actually. Because he shows up in IMAX, and then in Twilight he's still with Valerian, but.
Yep, he's in.
I think
he's in with Valerian. Okay, I just want to say I love how it ends. How Valerian finally gets what he wants in a really wholesome way, and he gets to just sit down and we assume tell the entire trilogy story to Valerian. Which I always loved.
As someone, I quote that I am a keeper of lore Jake thing a lot as someone who runs a wiki and tries to keep lore. So.
Yep. Which actually that brings me to another question. So in the games, I think Valerian knows about the Zelda artifact. Was this anything that you were
not the artifact, the prophecy?
Prophecy.
Because everyone knows about the artifact because he's the one who.
Of course, everyone knows about that. No, of course he knows about that. No, I meant the prophecy. Was that something that you were planning on integrating into your work, or something that you were going to allude to, or was that just whatever Chris Metzen came up with?
All right, what's the prophecy? Remind me what the prophecy is.
Oh, that they need to save Kerrigan because the Zelnaga are coming back.
Because reasons.
And that's what he tells Arcturus. And
did he
say that in Flashpoint?
He did, yes. I have no idea.
That's okay. All good.
I feel so inadequate. Christy, you did not do your homework.
No, you're fine.
That's not what we're trying to say. No. In my opinion, well, you're not. Don't worry, you're not inadequate.
And I guess one more, which I another wiki one I can clarify.
Who
so
knows?
there's
maybe Rowana, where her name is, told Valerian through Jake in that very conversation. Who knows?
Oh, okay.
The Protoss in Jake's mind, I can't remember what her name is. I said Rowana.
Zamara.
Zamara.
Zamara, that's what it was.
What did you just say?
I was saying that maybe she spilled the beans about the prophecy.
Oh, well, she wouldn't have known because she only pointed Zeratul in the direction of it, and that kicks off his. But we don't know what happened to her really. And I guess I'm
just theorizing.
Yeah,
just like Christie said.
Could be, yeah. But
I think the implication was that she her consciousness is
In the
locked in with like the epitome of insanity.
Yep.
Yeah.
I always got the impression that they were leading into potentially being a personality of 8 now, and Zamara being in there, and
I do know. Here's the other thing: is a lot of times fans, me included, they want to know what happens, right?
Mhm.
What happens with this, or when did they meet? And when you're a writer of a big IP, you don't want to close any doors.
Yep, because that's another book.
Exactly, because then that becomes real, right? This becomes now real. And we can't say, they met because so-and-so introduced them. And then later, oh, shit, what would be really cool is if they had met through this thing, which would be perfect, but
I said it was on Twitter, and now that's on the wiki, and I can't undo it.
I was going to say, ask Chris Metzen about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
sure
this is a great lament, because when you're starting out, you don't know what you don't know. And it's just, that's the way it is. If you say something, it's down, and then you have to work. This is now a fact that you have to work around. And so you'll notice a lot of times this is what's the joke is they never found the body. Well, he could be alive. Yep. and it's but what happened? No one could live through that, but they could.
30,000 feet.
If I didn't see
time
it,
travel, magic.
If I didn't see it, the character's still alive.
Yeah.
So,
Picture it didn't happen.
Exactly. Picture it didn't happen.
Yeah.
You don't want to close things unless you're sure that that's the way to do it. So that's why a lot of times people will dance around, well, did this happen? Did this happen? And nobody wants to say, because if we say something, we could ruin something super cool that we've never even thought of yet. And that's I don't even remember what we were talking about, but
that's okay.
That was a tangent.
It's okay.
It's still related.
Okay, good for me.
you kept on it.
Sorry, go ahead. I keep on.
No, you're fine.
You. I'm sorry.
One small, I guess it's because I'm a big timeline wiki, keeping things in order. I don't know if you remember Flashpoint goes back and forth between time, modern day and the StarCraft 1 events, with the last one where Kerrigan's Jim's chasing after Kerrigan, and she mentions that, maybe this relationship was a mistake. Was that intended to be? It kind of implies it, but was that intended to be when she's about to leave to go down and then get betrayed? Or was that an earlier was that intended to take place earlier in the relationship?
Yeah.
Because it implies that, but never says so. It's okay if you don't know. It's okay if you don't know.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's I kind of it is at odds with a lot of what you mentioned with being a writer who's I want to leave this open, and I'm a wiki writer who's I want to list what.
Oh gosh, yeah. So you and I are diametrically opposed in our goals.
You are
I as a writer, if someone can get me a timeline, that's helpful to me.
Yes.
If I'm all right, did they meet before this or after this? This is great. Now I can tell this story. So we all have the things that we want, and
No,
you also understand. You also understand that there's a reason why sometimes you don't get the whole story. Is because maybe you can get a better story.
I definitely do. Yes,
and that I really appreciate that, because a lot of people seem really stuck on needing to know some of these things, and I am this is riding a bucking bronco. These characters are still doing stuff, and I don't even know what's going on, right now. So, I think if we all just have a little grace with each other,
it's
why we
I
all want good stories.
Yeah, it's why when it comes to details like that, details like when did this happen or was it intended to happen, I feel a little more than what was that character like? Where are they now in this? And please lock that story out forever.
No, but I like being able to provide people that if I know it. Is this your character or not? No, actually that was given to me, that's good for people to know. So, when I can, I'm more than happy because that's dopamine right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
So another question, and then we'll get to the more. We're gonna start to shotgun this because we're going 2 hours now. We're almost 2 hours. Was Miles Hammond from Devil's Due, was he intended to be the player character in StarCraft 1, the magistrate character?
no.
Or
Okay, yeah, that's what the community's mostly run with. Because you're a new appointee but yeah, that's okay. That makes.
It's always good to have someone new to a universe for the people who. So here's the thing. Well, another challenge with media tie-in is there's so much there, and there are some people who are buying this who know everything about it, and there are some people who buy it and says, "Wow, that's a cool cover." I know nothing.
I played a few missions of StarCraft. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that name, or even that. What's StarCraft? I don't know. Cool cover. Sounds interesting. Let's go. And they deserve to have a good experience too. Yep. So anytime, and that's an old trick. That's an old trick to have somebody explain it, and the trick is to do it hopefully well and not hit people over the head with it. Nobody wants to have fellow doctor, the brain does this. Yes, fellow doctor who also knows this. I know this. You don't want that. You want somebody who reasonably would have questions if you have a lot of things to kind of get over. So
that's why, and it's probably a difference because Dark Templar Saga I always put as a good starting point because it's entirely contained. Like you can, I think you can read it without any knowledge of StarCraft and still get a good story. Whereas I feel like Flashpoint's a tougher one because it's definitely tying in not only the games but like all the other books into what Jimmy's feeling at that moment. That's been built up.
And that was its intent. It picks up literally at the end of one and leads you right up to the other, and that's also fun to do. Oh, yeah. But that's that's going to be a different experience. And again, hopefully, there's still, even if you don't know who Jimmy is, hopefully you'll get to know him. I always believe that there's somebody out there who knows nothing, and they need it too, or people need refreshers. I played StarCraft 12 years ago. What's going on now? And so, and I know that irritates a lot of the experts who are deep knowledge, and they're like, I know all of this. You don't have to tell me. But many people are at this table, and they all deserve to eat well.
I think most experts appreciate that. Like even going through the Dark Templar Saga, which kind of assuming you've read it can still assume you've read book 1 if you're going to read book 2. You still have to when I read these when they came out. It's years between the books. I'm not going to remember I might reread, but if maybe I don't, and then you don't want to be completely lost.
Whereas here I am on a trip for a month in November, and I'm just listening to all of them back to back.
Nice.
And yeah, it's just insane. Yeah.
Nice.
I'll go. Yeah, I'll take this one probably. So the jukebox, the ever famous jukebox scene with its whole art and all that, was that intended to tie into this was the one in the games that he took to Marsara with him?
It's absolutely the one in the games.
Awesome.
100%. That's its origin story.
There we go. Okay.
Yay.
I like that.
Finally got one right.
Went to all that trouble for it.
That's all good.
All right. I know we're hopping everywhere. It's just that I'm aware that you didn't want to be on for 3 hours.
I'm fine.
Fine?
My energy's good. If you
That's
have
good.
questions.
Promise?
Yes. I would tell you. I will tell you. I believe in good communication.
I'm probably the one with the time limit. I've got a 5 month old upstairs.
He has a baby.
Oh no.
Yeah, but my wife's take care of it. Thankfully, she's a doll. So one thing it's always been.
They all say
this has been more the player theory, and I'm pretty sure the answer is what does the player think? But I guess going into it, so Selendis in the Dark Templar Saga talks about, I was there with Zeratul to fight Ulrazaj in the Enslavers games before the books. And people have taken that to mean because there's only 2 characters in that. There is Zeratul and then the player Executor. was she intended to be that player, and was she also intended to be the player of that whole expansion?
Like
the
Brood War
executor?
Protoss executor,
or was that? It could just be somebody that you don't know, but that's generally what the fans have run with based on that information.
Because like Artanis was confirmed to be the episode 3 StarCraft 1 player, so.
And I did not write him as that because I did not have that information.
No, and there was no need for it, really.
I didn't have any information on Celendis either. So that's a question for somebody who was on the game.
That's
because they're the ones
Chris.
who made that.
Makes sense. Well, at the time of the games, it was just a nameless, so it'd be more someone, I guess, writing the people sketching the outline, probably.
It would have.
If
it was Celendis, it's a retroactive thing, right?
Yeah, but also
yes, it would be retroactive, and it would, which is fine.
It's nameless character.
Right.
No one.
Sure.
Dare you.
That's. I mean that.
How
That
dare you?
happens a lot.
The UAV captain from episode 5 is very important. How dare you? No.
No, but I was not aware of that. So if that was a
That's all right.
decision, it was made by the game team.
Makes sense.
That's okay. That's cool.
Most
Stetman.
of the-
What was it like writing for Stetman, and what's your reaction to how he ended up post Legacy of the Void?
Yeah, because
if you even know about that.
I mean, you were on the story team, I think, when they did some more expansion of Stepman.
They made him insane.
Yeah.
Was that your idea?
I was never on a game team, so I did not have anything to do with the creation of the characters.
Oh no, but I know
you were in the background at the time.
I do know the story team did help a little bit with that, but it was Maggie and Sean Copeland, I think, were the ones who really pushed on that one.
Yeah, I was not involved in. I did not do anything at Blizzard StarCraft related. I didn't write short stories. I didn't do anything at all StarCraft related.
Yeah.
Major sad. But that's there we are.
Yeah.
That's okay. No, when I was trying to say what I think you guys have sort of said my question, what I'm trying to ask is, like, what was it like writing for him back in Flashpoint, and what's your reaction to how he ended up 10 years later in the co-op campaign where he's insane and going mad with Terrazine?
And the comics.
He's also in co-op.
The only time I had to do with him was in the writing. And I knew about that, but I have not seen it. And again, that's beyond my pay grade.
Makes
sense. That's decisions of others. I don't know. What did you guys think? Did you like it, or was it fun or funny?
I enjoyed both, but I did enjoy your. I think you're the only one who's really gotten your teeth into normal Stepman. So, having just reread it, it's also a very fun. Oh God, what was her name? The beautiful doctor who puts a gun to him was a wonderful moment.
He's fun. He was fun to write for sure.
Having him and Kerrigan interact too was, I think, one of those cool little. Having, I think, one thing, and this isn't even on the sheet, but it's one thing I really like in your work is having a lot of disparate characters who you might not even know each other and touch in the game interact and what that means. I think you explore that. Warcraft, a lot of your Warcraft does it, but StarCraft stuff too, like really well.
It's fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
I enjoy that.
Yeah. What happened to Charles Whitler in Flashpoint?
We asked that one.
And I never actually answered it. So I think if his treachery was discovered, which I believe it was, I think he was dealt with appropriately.
Okay.
And I don't know what that means to you. So
it could mean many things.
So have you? I guess have you kept up with? So Timothy Zahn of one of my favorite writers did Evolution and also did a whole big exploration of Valerian. Have you checked out that book and seen Valerian in his prime as Emperor now, or how are you?
Oh, I have not seen that. No.
Oh, Okay.
No,
I
need to
highly
look that
recommend
up.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Evolution
I also
is,
recommend it.
Evolution. All right.
but yeah.
Got an
so-
audiobook and everything. You can go on your morning jogs or whatever it is that you do and listen to it while you work out or something. Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh, my baby boy.
Yeah, your baby
Yeah.
boy's all
All
grown
grown
up.
up. Look at you.
It's so
And
cool now.
I guess also tying into what you said with some of the differences of Anduin and Valerian, both are living in the shadow of their father, but how is the difference of, I mean, Valerian's ostensibly an honorable man. He's flawed, but honorable. And Arcturus is a total monster, basically. But how, I'm trying to find a way to word this question. I didn't write it down, but like, how did that, you feel, influence, especially even writing their dads, like they're living in very different shadows, but how was exploring those shadows?
I think Anduin's goal was to connect with his father. Valerian's goal was to make sure his father stopped doing damage.
Yep.
His father, yeah.
Briefly to connect with his father, but that didn't last long.
He tried and failed. Yeah.
But I think even connecting him was not to, I'm going to be just like dear old dad. It was connecting with him so that I can maybe influence him.
Mhm.
And no, but I think he always knew that Varian, and why they picked the names, I don't know. Varian, Valerian. It's
Varian,
like,
Valerian, yeah.
why are you doing this? Because now we are all messing it up. But Varian was a decent person who had a lot of things that he just couldn't handle. And Manx is not like that. Manx is all about himself. He is dangerous. He is deadly. He is untrustworthy. And I think Valerian is well aware that if he's perceived as a problem, he's on the chopping block too. And Anduin never knew. No.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, never. It was like, my father does not understand me. I wish he did. And which many of us can relate to. And when we're young. And so I think it was an entirely different relationship. Entirely different. It's interesting because it's two halves of the same coin.
Yes, it's similar, but it's entirely different.
Yeah, the problem is there. They were similar men, Manx and Varian, but in their pain, they were different. In their sanity, they were different. It was just they're superficially similar, but not really. I think.
Yeah.
I think Anduin and Valerian are also very similar, but like I said, Valerian has grown up guarded and ready to fight. Valerian would kill somebody if he needed to.
And
Anduin would wrestle with that really hard, and we've seen him wrestle with that.
Right.
You know, but I don't think Valerian would.
And indeed, he hasn't. He has, yeah. You actually explored that in Flashpoint too. Like, yes, I've killed. I don't like it, but I'm willing to do it.
He's going to do it.
Yes.
As opposed to Anduin, who is like agonizing over it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I guess. And again, apologies for jumping around on.
Go for it.
Yeah, me and some in the background were trying to figure out which was the she answer.
Yep. So, and Twilight, Zeratul mentions the prophecy of the Onyx soon with Twilight Deliverer, which the Nerazim idea that there's a multiple cycle. And I figure this is safe to ask now that the story I think it was implying has been told and done. How much of that was like in the script? Because it always seemed to imply, because in Wings of Liberty, Tassadar's ghost, which was not his ghost, comes back. And people thought that might be trying to like build that specific plot point up. And a follow up to I'll ask that first. There's a second part too.
Not being his ghost. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But
I guess was that a script thing to build up the games, like an intended point
yes,
in the
that
Onyx
came from them. That was not anything I came up with. That those were plot points that they wanted seeded now.
Okay. And a follow-up to that, because there's a comment Zeratul makes, which is, I believe that there's going to be a third iteration of the Onyx soon before this is all over, because he believes Tasnar was one. Was that intended to be Artanis, or was that...
I don't know.
Okay, because Artanis filled
in there. Then I was instructed to put it in there because it was a foundational thing that they wanted to build on later.
Yes.
But I don't recall any specifics. And again, a lot of this stuff's like, we want to do something with this.
Yeah.
Let's put it here now, and then when we have time, we'll figure out what the prophecy really means, or we'll figure out what. But they've got things that they want to have, like, and then to go back and revisit them as they have time, depending on what story they want to tell.
And I guess this also leads into another thing, because the Protoss expansion, which I know a lot what you set up for, it kind of had a tumultuous, not tumultuous, but a lot changed on the way. Like the entire protagonist changed from Zeratul to Artanis kind of halfway through. When you were writing, did you know if you were writing for a game where Zeratul was going to be the main character? Or was that just not even in the cards, really?
I knew Zeratul was going to be in it.
Okay. But not like, I guess,
no.
They kind of flip-flop between Artanis and Zeratul and settled on Artanis, so. But okay, yeah. That makes sense. I think most of these I've already...
Yeah, I can't... I can make guesses.
Yeah.
No, but I'm not privy. Like I've said before, there's a lot that I don't know. And if I did know it, I could help set it up. But then again, they might completely change their minds and would have to undo some of that stuff that I set up.
Which, sadly, a little that did happen. And it was, different writing. And different
writers, man. Different interpretations. It always happens. You can't ever control that.
I'll do this one. One thing always, every single feast scene, it describes the most scrumptious, like delicious food and especially drink. How do you do that? How do you make me so hungry?
How do you make me so hungry? How do you do it?
It's really interesting because there's a really big, not long, but a big answer to that. And that is that I wrestle with description. It's really funny because doing the cinematics, I was in my wheelhouse every step of the way because I like characters and I like dialogue. And that's all you need to do because somebody else is, deciding what they're wearing. Somebody else is deciding what, all this other stuff is like. But when I was writing, in my early days, the feedback I got from a trusted friend was these characters are fascinating. I love what they're saying to each other and they're just floating in space. There's no description of anything here. And so it's hard for me. It's really, really hard for me because I don't notice what people are wearing. I don't notice what color a room is, the architecture. I don't notice it. And it's effortful for me. Characters, dialogue, never a problem. Description, yes. And so the way I approach it is my senses. I'm like, what does it taste? Is there something to taste? Is there something to smell? What does it feel like? Is it, am I hearing, what am I hearing? And that kind of gets me into a scene. Also, food is a lovely way to explore a culture, even in our world. I love trying different types of food. I love traveling and finding out what people eat. And it tells you everything. It tells you about what's important to them. Do they, what they've been able to grow. It tells you about the climate. It tells you, it conveys a lot. And I'm also a foodie. And so I love
foodie.
I love doing that. So, but that's a tool for me to get in, to set a scene, to make you feel at home in it, and to expand whatever we know about these people.
Makes sense. And I guess now that I'm going through last of the book ones, I'll get into.
I have I have a funny story about food.
Oh, okay.
Do it.
You know, at the end of the Dark Templar,
Mhm.
there's pear brandy. Remember this
Pear
rare pear brandy. And we take a moment with it, you know, as he's thinking about everything that's going and the
Yep.
taste of it. I was able to deduct a bottle of incredibly good pear brandy as research.
That's beautiful. I
Beautiful.
and every book with, and then I get this fine vintage.
Yes, we
And so I haven't,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
but that one in
That's good.
particular. That I'd had a taste of that, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to write about this because it's, to me, it's called Belle de Bruyere, and it's a magical elixir. It's just, it really is, and I'm
Wait, the description makes me want to try it out. I'll put it that way.
I can highly recommend
yeah.
it if you imbibe.
And my last story one is kind of a more whimsical, one. But
Last.
so, oh, isn't it? But
There's two more. This one and one more. You're fine. Keep going.
well,
Sorry.
it's so Jake's kind of described as a crackpot by Valerian, even though he's usually presented as a little more grounded. But I guess the interpretation that people have taken, and I don't know whether this was an intended one, and you can of course say yes, but aliens had only been known about for 4 years, and Jacob had been a Xeni archaeologist for much longer than that. So is Jacob kind of the guy who really believes in aliens before there are aliens?
It seems like the type.
That was an error.
Oh,
Oh. Whoopsie daisy.
well,
So
Oh well.
that's the good version and the real version. The good version is yes, he was.
because it worked
The
really
real
well.
reasons it's in there is because Gen Greymane has fur. Okay.
Yes.
Right,
It works well
One
because
of
Valerian's
those-
like,
one of
we did
those
you at the last
realities.
second because you're kind of crazy and a crackpot. And so
Well, it worked.
It worked. Yeah. So I know many great lore moments have been made by accident.
Yep. The last question that we have that is story related. I don't know what this is.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll get that one. So, and this is a simple one. The Kierkegaard Belt and Space Station Prometheus, were those an outline? I only asked there if they're an outline thing because there's an exact similar station that shows up in the games later, but it's a different Mobius station. And there's a big speculation of, did they want to include that, but realized that Jim would know about this station and we got to do something different. But so was that an outline thing or was that
If there's a specific name for a ship,
oh, it's
then
a
that
place,
came-
the Kierkegaard Belt, the asteroid belt.
yeah, Kierkegaard.
Yeah, kick your good belt.
I do know that Flinders, the Petrie Flinders Award,
Yes.
that's a real person, but the award I made up.
Mm.
So I might have just researched. I don't know if Kierkegaard is like a famous astronomer.
But but
In
was
real
the
life?
idea an outline thing because the games?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You're gonna have do a whole outtake of me going, I don't know. I can't. Remember.
I can't. No, it's fine.
Fine.
Yeah, it's just
fine.
always been a
That's
debate because
literally-
everyone's.
Everybody here has done that. Every
Yeah.
single person we have on to date has done that at least 3 or 4.
Well, we're asking about a game that's been like 20 to 30 years
20,
old for a lot
30
of
years
people.
old,
So,
yeah.
and we're asking very specific questions. So we get what we can.
Yep.
One I'm going to plop in because I'm a fan of both Warcraft and StarCraft. I know with StarCraft, you tend to get a lot more gritty, bloody, sexual, like that. Whereas Warcraft, there's kind of, I wouldn't call it a lighter tone. It certainly gets dark in a lot of places, but is that a limitation of Warcraft, or is it just, you feel that, is that just a thing of the setting? Like StarCraft lends itself better to that kind of more visceral, gritty writing.
That's what Blizzard wants from each
I see.
franchise. Is and there were some things I had to back away from, even in StarCraft.
That's impressive
So-
because you had the whole brothel in Devil's Due.
You were not.
That was in
pulling
the
back
outline.
anything.
That was all of the
No,
outline.
It had art too, so I
Um,
love those little art pieces. The bank.
I
one
believe
is-
you, but listening to some of your stuff, it's like, oh my god, she is like on fire. She's writing down whatever she wants, and Blizzard's okay with it.
Oh,
so
sure,
I guess.
sure. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
it comes off as, but I believe you.
Oh, well, no, I did have to back off. I won't, I
Sure,
I
yeah.
don't feel comfortable saying what at this point.
You don't have
but
to.
there
No,
was a place I wanted to get to with something, and they're like, "Nah," and I'm like, okay.
Mm,
So Diablo is where, I'm still waiting to write in Diablo because I'm like, can I please describe the squelch of flesh and pull out still beating hearts, please? Oh, please.
I mean, you had
know?
a whole impressive that they backed off on any of that because you had the whole I'm going to use this the junkyard guy's body as a human shield and it's going to fall
Oh
apart.
my,
I'm like, oh wow, this is
love it.
gorier than the games there.
Very
I love it. It's just
Karen thing to do. Yeah.
But and Warcraft is it's younger readers.
okay.
I think it's
Right.
more of
It's
the game
More-
is pitched
Yeah.
younger.
more open
And-
to a bigger range of
Right.
age.
Yeah. And but I really loved some of the freedom that I got to do because there was so much that was coming from me in the trilogy. And,
Okay.
the whole drug addiction thing.
Oh yes, that's another one.
I'm really glad that they allowed me to do that because that is, in the real world, that is very serious stuff and it is painful stuff and it is hard stuff.
Yes.
And we need to have compassion for people wrestling with it.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, they're my favorite couple I've ever written.
Jake and Jake and Rosemary. No.
Rosemary, yeah.
Yeah.
She's just so fun. I just watched a show, The Gorge. Have you guys seen it?
I've heard
I
of
think
it. I haven't
it's on
seen
Netflix.
it.
It's
Yeah.
really good. It's a really good movie. It's not, going to be, oh my God, this is life changing. But I mean, it delivers. It makes a promise and it delivers it, and it's great. It's very satisfying. It's a very satisfying movie to watch. And there's a character in there, the main female lead, and I'm like, oh my God, I found Rosemary. That's her. That's
Your
her.
favorite?
So, yeah.
And sorry, I said it'd be the last one, but this actually brings up another thing that's been noted in the Dark Templar saga is Jake tends to be the more us perspective, whereas Rosemary is written as a more the Terran, the gritty, the world that we know from the games. Is that an intended thing?
Yes, Jake is a civilian. He got dragged into this. He's a stupid scholar who goes around digging things up. He's not
Little
trained
himbo.
in battle. He doesn't, it's all stuff that he's not familiar with, and he's not equipped to deal with it.
If he was treated properly.
What do you
What was
mean? Did I say treated
Right.
properly?
Yeah, because Root Kid had a rough life and he got into the war, and there was also a joke on how you killed him off relentlessly.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry, it's fine. But yeah,
I'm so evil.
I know, you're so evil.
People are like,
There you
Christie,
go.
we can't believe you write this. You write cats eating people's faces off, and you're so wholesome. And I'm like, I know, I get it all out.
Well, it's like that.
Right.
It's like that image of Miyazaki being kind of depressed, and then the one horror writer who's happy.
Yeah.
Tends to be the opposite of what you write.
That's really funny.
So let's get these last few questions down post Blizzard talk here. So last year, Christie, was a very hard life for you, and it's really weird because for me personally, because when I first last year wanted to start this podcast with Subsourian, one of the first people I wanted to reach out with you. And I remember, I don't know if we were on a call together or if we were just DMing each other right then. Can't remember exactly, but I remember we were talking about hey, we should get this person. And I remember I just I remember I saw your tweet about your mother, and it just come out like a month before, and I was like, oh no, I can't message her right now. I can't. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm literally. I was like, I'm gonna have to wait a while, like a long while. So, and that was like in. If I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it was last February or March or something.
Well, yeah, I kind of had the cavalcade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
you
got
were
laid
also
off.
let go.
Yeah, I was laid off along with,
And it happened.
1,899 other people.
I had a lot of friends at Blizzard, and I have zero
It
now.
all happened within the
rough.
same month, from what I remember, which is
The next day, my nephew passed away.
Mm.
oh,
And
God,
I woke
that.
up to a tweet from my sister. And then there were some other things. And then in May, my mom had cancer. She turned 99 in last March. And she was doing okay. She was doing okay. And she'd been living with it for a while. But we knew this was coming eventually, right? So she started taking a turn for the worse in May. I went out to see her flying cross country in June. She was in a rehab at that time and declining. And I had to move, because Orange County is expensive, folks. And if you're not gainfully employed, then you should look elsewhere. And so I moved. And then 11 days after I moved, my brothers and sisters said, you might want to come back. So I flew out on the 11th. I had gotten a book contract and I was waiting for final feedback. I got my final feedback and they said, you're ready to go on the plane. Well, I'm flying out to see my mom, who passed away 11 days after that. And then I had to go back and forth and help the house get ready. And, so it was a year. And my father had passed away in 2011. And one of the projects I'd been working on was getting his autobiography published.
He was a pilot, correct?
He was a fighter pilot, World War II. And I did, and I got it to Mom in April. So she was able to see it.
That's good.
And so I feel really, really good about that. And then they were close friends with the Carters. And then, of course, Carter passes away. And it was just like this year, and there were so many people. It was really funny because I was seeing a lot of other people like losing beloved pets, losing parents, jobs. The gaming industry has just been being punched for 3 years now and it doesn't look like it's letting up.
It ain't.
And so I wanted to, people have been curious. They want to know. So that's kind of what's been going on. And it's been really great to see who remembers and who's there for you, and you find out who your friends are. And I just wanted people who are dealing with things, grief. And there's so many kinds of different grief, right? There's, and it's like, I got the checklist. It's like, my family home is sold now, so there's just a lot of things that I was forced to look at and to grieve. And I want to tell people that it's okay to grieve. It's not just a cat. It's not just a job. These things have so much more around them than those single words. And when you lose something or something is taken from you, or you outgrow it, even if you just outgrow something, there's a loss and it needs to be grieved. And our society doesn't really deal well with grief. And I want people to know that everybody grieves differently and everyone has a different timeline. One widow may remarry after 6 months and she's processed it and she's okay. It's not too soon. Someone may not ever, and that's okay. That's what they need. And so take the time, get help if you need to, And if you're friends of people who are still job hunting, or still mourning something, just check in on them from time to time, because a lot of time people dealing with grief don't want to reach out. We don't want to be a burden. Or like, oh my God, I am still unemployed, or yeah, I still miss my mom, whatever it is. And especially things are very volatile in the world right now. And it's funny, we were talking about me doing all this violence and stuff like that, but I'm really a big softie. And I believe in trying to understand people and connect with people and to support people. And so I just want everybody out there who may be dealing with something like this, you're not alone. And a lot of people are going through the same thing, and it's okay to be where you are. However you're doing it, it's normal. I promise.
That's good words, especially. Yeah, I think a lot of people now are having that.
It's
also
hard.
a topic.
Yeah.
I noticed you explored a bit in Flashpoint too, going through grief and the loss. And
being laid off, and obviously it wasn't just you. It was, as you said, 1,000 something people.
Nobody knew in advance. That managers were not notified. These were all done on a certain level. I still love Blizzard. I still love World of Warcraft.
Right.
I still would never mind working with them again. And, sometimes things happen, and it turns out to be, oh my gosh, you look back at that years later and go, oh my gosh, if I had done X like I wanted to, I would never have been able to do Y, which was so much more awesome. So I just feel very fortunate that I am... and here's the thing, I got an entirely new career in the 6 years that I worked at Blizzard. And I am so grateful for that. I mean, I have learned so much. I can now do so many more things successfly and market myself doing them that I was never able to do before. I'm not just a writer of novels anymore. I am a writer of screenplays. I work with voice actors. I understand, I've learned so much. So, and I've made some lifelong friends. It's, so it's, I'm okay. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Everything's, what is it? All is proceeding as it should. So, we'll see what happens.
Tying into, if you ever go back, one of our last questions we have. So do you have anything revisiting StarCraft? I know you've mentioned I'd love to come back to it.
Oh, I would. Yeah.
Is there any place that you particularly would love to, I would love to explore this specifically?
I want to do more Jake and Rosemary.
I think most people do.
I would love to see that. A sequel trilogy
There's 3 expanded universe characters that everyone loves, and it's Michael Liberty, Malcolm Coltrane, and Jacob Ramsey. And I think most people would love when he appeared in Blackstone. People were very excited. I got a message from my friend that day. Oh, Jake's back!
It's a little story about that. They did loop me in.
Oh, okay.
Which was really nice, and the story that they were going to tell, and I was able to kind of give my thoughts and feedback. And I did say, whoever you get to write Jake's, just make sure he's the kindest, most sincere stand-up person in the room. And they're like, oh, Matt Burns is doing that, so we're covered. And I'm like, oh, yes, you are.
Matt Burns is really good.
Matt Burns is just a really, really wonderful, wonderful guy. Very quiet and soft-spoken. Very good at what he does, and just an all-around good person.
He's endured my gauntlet at BlizzCon of questions, and he's been a very stand-up guy. He's a great guy.
He's great. He's definitely Jake Ramsey material. So
yes. So do we want to wrap up with?
We have. I just have one last question before our final question. So second to last question. Did you have any canceled books that you were planning before you were let go?
No, this didn't affect. This didn't affect. I did a lot fewer books because, gosh, doing a full-time job in writing is hard.
Yes, yeah.
And I did it once.
Right.
when I was 27, and it was a lot easier back then. Let me tell you, than mumble years later. But no, I don't have anything that was external and that was canceled.
That's all right. Well, my next second to last question, my real second to last question. I know some really used to go. What are you working on right now? What, like you said in private earlier that you had a book that you were writing or something.
Yeah, I have been public that I am writing a book. But I am
to make sure before I mention it. Don't worry.
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I have said that I'm writing a book, and it is under NDA, and so I can't say what or when or anything like that. But it's something that I'm enjoying very much.
Everyone, you're listening to this. Everyone, just watch out for Christie Golden. She's still got shit coming out.
That's right.
Looking forward to it.
Oh man, I can't tell you the number of times that I've been told my career was over.
Never let anyone.
Never is.
Never let anyone tell you that. The only one, you know what? Cars 3. I know that's a random movie to bring up. But Cars 3, I'm the one that decides when I'm done. That's one of my favorite lines from that movie, and I think that resides well with all of us. Like, you are the only one that decides when you're done. No one else.
I love that. I love that. That's so true. And it's not been smooth sailing. There was a year I had 5 books canceled. Which was years of work lined up, just gone. And not anybody's fault. It was just companies did things, and there you are. And so I didn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. But you get back up, and I've had I'm grateful because I've had a lot of experience doing this before. And so I kind of know how that goes.
That's good. All right, last question. Finally.
And I'll preface this with the StarCraft community does not have the bias so there's no one going to be filling your inbox with
no one will get upset.
But we ask every guest this question.
All right.
I promise. Well, I can't promise, but I promise that we won't.
Yeah.
Yes, do it. Do it. Unironically, do that.
I'll let you know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but what is your favorite race of the 3? Can be for writing, can just be stylistically. Which one's your favorite? I think
it's pretty clear. I am a Protoss girly.
It could be.
I love the
2 of your books were very Terran, but yeah, it's.
They're so because I had so much to do with helping develop where they were going, and I like the culture, and I like that they're not like us, and I like they are kind of in some ways. I mean, they're relatable. We can connect with them. We can understand each other. They're not that alien. And they're just cool. They're like cats.
That's a good description.
And
no,
I agree with you.
In fact, I took a cat mannerism from one of them. This is another one of the biological things. When they laugh, they half close their eyes. And cats do that when they trust people.
And I think you described the Zamara fighting style when she takes Jake's body with a lot of cat metaphor. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Well, it was so nice to have you.
Thank
Christie.
you.
Oh, thank you.
This was wonderful. Yeah.
I had a great time.
It's been so fun. Yeah. Subsourian, you can close us out real fast, and we'll say
yeah. Thanks everyone for tuning in. It's one of the ones I've been really looking forward to doing. So,
thank you.
I am a huge fan. I have read your books, or it's the StarCraft books, many times. So, it's a pleasure to get to talk to you. So, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.